Do buildings dream of digital sheep? On the 1st of January 2019, there was a meme going around. It showed Los Angeles on the 31st of December 2018, and then Los Angeles on the 1st of January 2019. Los Angeles had changed into the city of Blade Runner. And the reason for this is that 2019 was the year in which the movie was set. Although it was released in 1982 and directed by Ridley Scott, it was not set until the year 2019, the 18th to 21st of November to be precise. Blade Runner is based on the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Frank K. Dick. It tells the story of replicants. Replicants are bioengineered robots manufactured by the Tyrell Corporation to have superhuman abilities so that they can survive in the hostile conditions of the off-world colonies. Replicants are therefore potentially dangerous, and as a safety measure, they are given a limited lifespan of just 4 years. In the movie, a group of 6 replicants return to Earth in a bid to extend their life. They are led by one particularly strong and replicant, a Nexus 7 model, Roy Batty, who is played by Rutger Hauer, seen here with Prissy. And in the story, Harrison Ford, who plays Rick Deckard, a Blade Runner, kind of policeman bounty hunter, is charged with hunting down and retiring, as it's put, killing these replicants. The problem, however, is these replicants look absolutely identical to human beings. In fact, the only way that they can test the difference is by performing the elaborate Voight-Kampff test, which is designed to check the emotional responses and the eye reflexes to see if they meet those of human beings. What's interesting about this is that it echoes in many ways the Turing test, an elaborate test to see whether AI can match human beings. But so too, what is also interesting about this is that it matches another test that we know about from recent events. The date on which Blade Runner was set, at the end of November, the 18th to 21st November, is almost identical with the date on which COVID-19 was first discovered in Wuhan in China, on the 17th of November 2019. There are therefore parallels between these three forms of invisible operations. The replicants are almost indistinguishable because they look like human beings, AI itself, which is invisible, and then COVID-19, which is also impossible to see and has to be tested. But all three of them are potentially lethal. Another aspect to the movie that is particularly interesting is that Roy Batty takes on his maker, Dr. Tyrell, at a game of chess and beats him. Clearly, these replicants have powers beyond those of human beings, and in many ways, this particular scene foreshadows the moment in 1997 when Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov, the world champion at chess. Unfortunately, Dr. Tyrell is unable to extend the lives of the replicants, and Roy Batty murders him in the scene in the movie. It's not easy, as he puts it, to meet your maker. Another interesting person in the scene is Rachel, here seen smoking. Let's not forget that the movie was released in 1982 before smoking had gone out of fashion. Now, while many of the things that Blade Runner predicts became true, this is one thing where they got it wrong. Interestingly, also, Rachel has a child with Deckard, Harrison Ford, and that is what we find out about in the sequel, Blade Runner 2049. It's worth thinking, though, about what Blade Runner did in fact get right. And there are many aspects of this that it did get right. We don't have the Tyrell Corporation, but we have many other forms of corporations dominated by high tech: Google, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft. And maybe we don't have flying cars, but we do have maglev trains floating on magnetic fields, and we do have other forms with drones and so on. And in fact, in many ways, this image of the city of Blade Runner is, if anything, a little bit nostalgic. If you were to go to Shanghai, for example, you would find that the kind of things they have projected or displayed, the LED displays they have on buildings, make Blade Runner seem distinctly old fashioned. And we don't have replicants in our cities today, but we do have AI assistants in the form of Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant. And they are part of our everyday life, and they are embedded within society and completely invisible. Towards the end of the movie, Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, is confronts the leading replicant, Roy Batty, who clearly has the upper hand, and he is about to be killed by Roy Batty until Roy Batty spares him, and as we discover in the movie, it is as right as he's coming to the end of his life. And the soliloquy that is given by Roy Batty is one of the most remarkable soliloquies in the history of movies. In fact, it was Edgar Hauer himself who actually wrote this section. So let's just hear Roy Batty as he reaches the end of his life.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die.
Tragically, Edgar Hauer did not live to witness November 2019. He died a few months before it. He did, however, see the sequel, Blade Runner 2049, and was not impressed by it. But one of the most interesting comments that he made was this one. In many ways, Blade Runner wasn't about the replicants, it was about what does it mean to be human. And that in many ways reflects some of the thoughts of others about what the role of AI is or what the role of robots are. They become a kind of mirror in which to understand what it is to be human. As Hiroshi Ishiguro comments, the Japanese roboticist, the robot is a kind of mirror that reflects humanity, and by creating intelligent robots, we can open up new opportunities to contemplate what it means to be humans. And so do buildings. Can buildings dream of digital sheep? Can buildings dream at all? Interestingly, in 2018, a year before the actual setting of Blade Runner, there was an event that took place in Los Angeles that in many ways returned Los Angeles to the city of Blade Runner. And that was the projection of an AI animated projection onto the most famous building perhaps in Los Angeles, the Walt Disney Concert Hall, designed by Frank Gehry. At this moment, LA returns to Blade Runner, and Blade Runner returns to LA.
Hrithik Anadol is not an architect. He is a media artist, but he's a media artist who uses buildings both as his material and his canvas. Anadol was brought up in Istanbul, Turkey. At the age of 8, his mother gave him a video cassette of Blade Runner, a gift that had a profound effect on him. I'd clearly been mesmerized by the stunning architectural vision of Los Angeles, a place that I had never seen. When Anadol moved to LA in 2012 to begin his studies at UCLA, he was hoping to encounter the city of Blade Runner. What he encountered, however, fell well short of his expectations. He did not encounter a high-tech city of flying cars and massive megastructures like the headquarters of the Tyrell Corporation. Instead, he discovered a city that was largely asleep. One building that could never disappoint him, though, was the Walt Disney Concert Hall, designed by his architectural hero, Frank Gehry. When I first moved to LA, the first building I came across was the Walt Disney Concert Hall. Having arrived in LA at 2:15 in the morning, I saw a weird dark thing with no lights, instead of that shiny, bright Walt Disney Concert Hall. The building seemed incredibly alone and isolated. Apparently, they shut off the lights at night to save energy. I would never have guessed that. The opportunity arose, however, to bring the building to life when Anadol was commissioned to produce a data sculpture in 2018 to mark the 100th anniversary of the LA Philharmonic. The project became a study of dreams and memories. One source of inspiration was the scene in Blade Runner when Rachel realizes that she has been given someone else's dream. This prompted Anadol to ask the question, what can a machine do with someone else's memories? If a machine can process memories, can it also dream, hallucinate? Perhaps we should extend that question to buildings. Can buildings also dream? The idea behind the projection was to give consciousness to the Walt Disney Concert Hall in 3 distinct stages. The first stage, memory, involved the training of a neural network by classifying thousands of images and sound recordings of events from the archives of the LA Philharmonic. This data is then processed by the network. The second stage, consciousness, involves the use of a neural network to categorize and rearrange the material. The third stage, dreaming, is when the full hallucination takes place and is the most spectacular of the three stages. On the evening of 28th of September 2018, a series of 42 powerful projectors were eventually switched on, and the Walt Disney Concert Hall was lit up by a data sculpture projected onto exterior, and it became alive. At this moment, perhaps, we see science fiction returning to Los Angeles. We see Blade Runner returning to the city.